Kicking off our list here at number 10, we have Mount Weather. Not to be confused with Mount Chiliad, although that one's quite mysterious as well. We'll save that for another video. Mount Weather in Virginia is an emergency operations center. It's the go-to spot in case of any national emergency. These are for the higher ups, you know what I mean? Like in the movie 2012, they would have went here. The facility is around 560 acres, and it's also used as the command center for the Federal Emergency Alert System. So if there were ever a day where the president needed to announce anything massive, this is where he'd go to do so. It's about an hour away from Washington, D.C., and after the 2001 September attacks, the news reported that these high-level leaders of Congress were taken just 75 miles west of Washington. There was a literal traffic jam of government vehicles going that direction. Also, from above, Mount Weather looks like it's hiding military-style support housing. These notches on the side of the hill are peculiar, to say the least. And that's just the beginning of our list here. Number 9, Randolph-Macon Women's College. Yeah, when you think of a doomsday bunker or anything hidden below the surface of the earth, you're thinking airports, right? Something massive, vaults in the middle of the Arctic maybe, some secret Bermuda Triangle, alien base, whatever. Well, look no further than Lynchburg, Virginia, at Randolph College. So around World War II, just like most of these places that I'll mention on this list, a bunker was made to protect people, government officials, and sometimes art. The National Gallery of Art hid paintings in North Carolina, so another privately funded facility at Randolph College was also at the ready. It was this 3-bedroom hideout for the gallery's curator. Can't forget about art on this list. It's also important. Number 8, the Shanghai Complex. Most of the details of this one are still unknown, as are the other ones on this list as well. How fun is that? A mysterious Shanghai complex. Let's talk about it. It's this massive underground bunker, as you probably could have guessed, and it's supposedly able to fit 200,000 civilians comfortably. It's over 100 million square feet, and it was built in case, well, a nuclear attack were to happen. This was revealed through a newspaper article back in 2006. Imagine reading about this one morning. I'd be like, hi, what? The Shanghai Morning Post touched on the new complex, saying that it's got massive protective doors, electricity, good lighting, good ventilation, all that good stuff, and it can fully support life for 2 full weeks. And yes, it's very secure. Number 7, Pine Gap. Going to the land down under for this one. Here we go. Pine Gap is a secret military compound built around the Cold War, and it's been described as Australia's Area 51. Doesn't mean that there's aliens there, but you never know. All we know of this secret base on this mysterious island was revealed back in 2013 thanks to our man Edward Snowden. Yeah, he revealed quite a bit actually. Turns out this island is not a fun resort. In fact, it's a satellite surveillance base that runs espionage operations. And it's got a lot of underground hidden bunkers. You can't even get close to this thing. The NSA is currently using this facility for global interception, and they also collect internet and telephone communication records. So your voicemail to chat is probably lying in a USB somewhere. Back in the 70s, around 400 American families moved to the nearby Alice Springs. Why? Just for fun, it seems. Just for the waves. Just for surfing the web and the waves. Number 6, the Greenbrier. Located in Sulphur Springs in West Virginia, this US hideout was crucial during, you guessed it, the Cold War. Just 250 miles west of the capital city, the Greenbrier Resort got a fun little expansion as it was being built back in 1958. This expansion to the resort was not another spa, there was no water parks, no splash pool, anything like that. Rather, it was a secret bunker for United States Congress. This bunker was more of an underground city, if anything. When I say bunker, it's like a little where you have to hide in. No, this had a massive cafeteria. This had a dentist's office in case you get a cavity while you're hanging out down there. The crazy thing was, obviously this information was kept under wraps as best as they could, but according to Jared M. Graff, author of Raven Rock, conferences were being held in these public spaces at this resort, but the people walking through there never realized what these actually were. They never realized the bunker's true intentions. It was a doomsday chamber all around them this whole time, and they're having resort meetings. One thing employees did notice was how many urinals were in the building, which is, to be fair, that's kind of funny. That's the first thing I would notice. Number 5, Denver International Airport. Since its opening in 1995, Denver International Airport, DIA, has been the subject of many myths. I've heard about this before. This is hilarious. I think it's in Tony Hawk, probably. I don't know. Some are so bizarre I had to include it on our list today. Yeah, lizard people. Apparently they like to build airports. The more you know. So far, it's believed that the Freemasons built the airport, or the Illuminati, or the New World Order. The airport itself is massive. It covers around 52 square miles. There's literal gargoyles that are just hanging out near baggage claim. The art displayed there is a little odd, so I get it. It does seem creepy. Maybe you want to know more about it. But the airport has started to lean into this conspiracy. They're actually laughing at this stuff by now. They have a conspiracy month that began back in 2016. How fun. Imagine going to the airport and they're like, oh, it's conspiracy month. I'm like, what? I just want to fly Delta. What's going on? They even show a screening of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So yeah, like I said, they're really leaning into this. I would have leaned into something too if I was hiding a secret bunker and if I was guilty. Just saying. Number 4, Project Iceworm. Oh, here's a fun one. As a Canadian, this project sounds like the worst one on this list. So impossibly cold. It's so cold out today. I'm freezing doing this list. Back in 1960s, under the Greenland ice sheet, the US Army started to build a mobile nuclear missile launch site. The code name was Project Iceworm, which is pretty fitting. Under the ground and ice. You got it, I didn't have to explain it. They were close enough that they could hit targets within the Soviet Union, right? That was the entire point here. This project was called Project Iceworm, but there was another project called Camp Sentry that had to be completed first. You can't just show up with a bunch of shovels and be like, all right, let's attack them. No, you have to make a base first. You gotta make sure it's livable. Camp Sentry was a network of underground tunnels and places for workers to stay. There was a kitchen, a hall, supply rooms, communication center, all that good stuff. There was also a nuclear power plant, so things were getting pretty official. Things were well on their way, to say the least. This was kept from the Danish government for 7 years, but in 1966, the project was cancelled because of shifting ice. Or was it? Number 3, the floating White House. This one's not an underground bunker per se, but it was once a doomsday ship. That counts. Also, it's under the water, so it can technically below Earth level. I don't know. This was back in 1962, before Air Force One. There was a presidential yacht. Or 2. These yachts sound glamorous, but really it's just a floating doomsday bunker. Lincoln had a steamboat during the Civil War that he used, and it was called the River Queen. The USS Mayflower was used by Roosevelt. Then later on, 2 Navy command ships were ready in the 60s. There was a light cruiser and a light aircraft carrier, one of which was always in the water near the president, just floating by, just lurking about. This is when the Soviet Union had a weak navy, so the odds of them finding the president's ship in the Atlantic, well, those odds were slim. That is until, of course, satellite technology became a thing, and then we started looking down from above, and then after that the floating presidential bunker wasn't hidden, obviously. It's probably the worst place to put a president at this point, actually. Just in the middle of the water. They're like, let's play Battleship, I guess. Number 2, Metro 2. How fitting, 2 and 2, let's do it. An underground metro or an underground city. Over in Moscow, there have been many tales of this underground city, hiding deep beneath Russia's capital. Once World War II ended, these underground shelters were underway, and originally they were designed to protect civilians, but they had to be done in secret, and also you needed roads to connect these bunkers. So we might as well create a second metro. We'll call it that, a second metro. It was labeled as Metro 2. The rumors, of course, are that these hidden tunnels and bunkers are still being used by the KGB. Back in 1994, this exploration group called the Diggers supposedly found the entrance to this underground KGB tunnel city. Living in Toronto, we have one underground subway station that's like kind of abandoned. Pretty sure the KGB isn't hiding there. I haven't checked though in a while, but maybe I'll take a look. I'll get my boys the Diggers and we'll go and take a look. And finally, number 1, the Svalbard Vault. Over the pandemic, I spent a lot of time playing video games and stuff like that, obviously, keep my mind busy. And most of my favorite games, I realized, have a similar like doomsday, post-apocalyptic feel. Like Fallout 4, I was playing it and I'm like, this feels stressful. It's stressful, but quite engaging. And in real life, we have a global seed vault, and it's deep, deep in the Arctic Circle, on the island Spitsbergen. It's this massive bunker that has since been deemed the Doomsday Vault. How fun. This is where humans will store food crops, and it contains 100 million seeds. So if the earth all of a sudden gets wiped out, or even if all the ice melts, this vault will be good to go. We won't survive, but we have seeds. All that water just flooded the rest of humanity will now regrow the earth, ideally, which sounds so horrible, but weirdly cute. I'm kind of concerned. Is there something we don't know about this vault? Is that seed guy from Breath of the Wild hanging out in there with his loud maracas? Or Santa? I mean, Santa's only 800 miles away from this area, so he could be hiding here, you never know.
Coming in at number 9 is the Underground City. Located around 9 miles away from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, Site R, also known as the Underground Pentagon, is a massive bunker that was built in the 50s. The bunker was built for Armageddon itself. There are miles of underground tunnels and access shafts, yet no one has been willing to say what is actually on site. There are rumors that Raven Rock is a full underground city, and I'm talking streets, pumped in air, room for 3,000 people, houses with huge supply supplies of meals ready to eat, and of course a special presidential apartment as well. No bunker is complete without a space for the president, am I right? Screw civilians! Many believe it was made to survive an electromagnetic pulse or nuclear blast. There's barely anything known about the bunker or how extensive it really is. The only documents discussing the site just talk about how it's unlawful to make any photograph, sketch, picture, drawing, map, or geographical representation of the site. My question is, why did the government commission making a massive end-of-the-world bunker in the 50s? What do they know that we don't know? And should we know that? I feel like we should. Should I be making my own bunker in preparation? Someone let me know. At number 8 we have the Bethesda Bunkers. Now this case is a bit weird because the bunkers were hidden and only became known because the house they were located under had a massive house fire. The house was located in Bethesda in Montgomery County. After the fire, police found the body of 21-year-old Askia Kafra in one of the underground tunnels. Daniel Beckwith, the homeowner, was Kafra's friend, and he was working inside the house when the fire broke out in the basement. Daniel managed to escape, but Kafra died by the time firefighters got inside. Despite all this, he still hasn't talked about what happened that day or why he was building those tunnels and bunkers under his house. I feel like that's the first question that should be answered in this case. His parents suspect there's something more at play here, and Kafra even told his friends that Daniel hired him to dig the tunnels, but he had to be blindfolded every day before coming into the house because Daniel didn't want him to know where he was living, which is just very suspicious. I don't know how he didn't see that as a red flag, but there you go. The whole thing just screams shady. Just me? Definitely shady. Filling our number 7 slot is the hotel, and I mean, I wish I was talking about a bunker that had hotel level comfort, but alas I am not. Back in 2011, while construction workers were laying the foundation for a bar in the Sofitel Legend Metropole Hanoi Hotel, they uncovered an air raid shelter under the hotel, and boy, that was a very long name for a hotel, let me just say. It was constructed during a past war with the US, and it's basically fully intact. The foyer tunnel is more than 2 meters long, and the whole shelter has 6 rooms with 2 entrances. One can be found below the pool, and the other is at the hotel center. Even after it was discovered, everything the workers found remained untouched, and the bunker is now open to the public for viewing. It even received a UNESCO Asia Pacific Heritage Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation back in 2013, so it really is like an untouched time relic. It even has an autograph carved into its wall from Australian diplomat Bob Devereaux back in 1975. I'm just surprised no one discovered the bunker before the bar was being built. Like, did they not discover it when they were building the hotel itself? How is an underground structure like that so easily overlooked? It beats me. Now at number 6 is the hike. So if you live in Oregon and one day you wake up and feel like you have your life together and decide, you know, today would be a great day to go for a hike. If you go on the Tillamook Head Traverse hike and trek over 6 miles of forest and plunging cliffs, you will come upon an old bunker that no one knows about. Well, except for the people watching this right now. Now we all know. The landmark of Tillamook Head itself is nearly 15 million years old, so it's been through a lot. But 1.5 miles away from Cannon Beach, there are bits of moss-laden concrete and metal and a bunker the size of a school bus. That's it. There are no signifying plaques, no signage, nothing. Despite the wealth of information that the internet is, no one can seem to find anything about this bunker from the early 40s. But real-life historians, on the other hand, do have some information. Not a lot, but some. A historian at Fort Stevens said the site was used by the US Army Air Corps for about a year and a half during World War II. It had a 30-foot tall antenna that was manned around the clock by 8 people and was part of a radar station that looked out for enemy aircraft. The bunker and the antenna were only one small part of the whole thing. It used to include a full camp, a pump house, barracks, a mess hall, storerooms. Around 50 to 100 men worked and lived there. So I mean, if you don't want to find a creepy old bunker on your morning hike, maybe avoid this trail. At number 4 is codename 17/5001, aka the secret 3-story bunker that was one of the communist world's most highly advanced bunkers. It was 16 miles away from Berlin, it reached a depth of 70 meters below ground, and it had 85,000 tons of concrete in the form of a blast cap that was meant to protect from any explosion above. Sounds like the whole shebang. The bunker had tunnels that divided 170 rooms, AC, power generators, a fountain, and even springed rooms that were designed to cushion people from explosions. It took 5 years to build, and despite being designed for East Germany leader Erich Honecker and 400 other staff members, it was never used. Erich himself only visited it once and was unhappy with its environment. Urban explorers found and entered the bunker before officials did, but when they finally did find it, they opened it to the public for 3 whole months. Now its walls are covered covered in mold and the decontamination chambers are very much out of service. I love how this bunker is literally half above ground, half not, stayed undiscovered for as long as it did. I mean, it's in plain sight, I'm just saying.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have the Safe House. On May 5th, 2017, the YouTube channel Shai posted a video of him discovering and exploring a fully stocked underground safe house. He found it while walking through the grounds of an old factory in the industrial area of his city. As he was exploring, he discovered a strange concrete block with a metal gate on the side of it. He opened it and climbed the ladder. There, he found a dark, small tunnel leading to an underground bomb shelter and safe house. And what you're seeing here is the results of that exploration. The room seems to have been abandoned, but was also scavenged for valuables before its owners left. Some of the rooms contain old-looking military posters written in Russian. Many of the posters were mounted behind glass on a wall and lit up. I also find it strange that this place still has electricity. Other rooms contain boxes of supplies and equipment, enough for dozens of people. Why did they need those supplies? What were they planning? And perhaps most importantly, where are those people now? Moving on to number 9 now, we have The People Above. This video was uploaded in October 2017 by the YouTube channel Probs. They visited this underground bunker, but 5 of their friends ended up turning back eventually. That's how creepy it got. They said that continuing to explore it just as 2 was the worst decision they'd ever made and that it was terrifying. After following brick hallways filled with pipes, the rooms eventually began to open up. They still had no idea what the bunker was used for. There were strange holes in the floor that revealed another space below. It appeared they were standing on just a thin bit of concrete. When the others left, the vibe got even creepier. Their bravery was rewarded though when they found a secret area where it seemed like the ceiling had actually caved in. The nervous laughter turned to genuine fear though when they heard someone else nearby.
I can hear someone on top of us.
It wasn't long before they decided to get out of there before they run into whoever or whatever was down there with them. Coming in at number 8 now, we have the water plant. In March 2018, an underground bunker in southwest England made the news when it went on sale for £28,000. That's about $36,500 for our American viewers. Is that a good price for an underground bunker? Maybe, but just wait until you see the inside. The bunker was built underneath an old water plant that had been decommissioned and largely forgotten about since the 1960s. It was bought by a man who wanted to turn it into a hostel or, wait for this, a mausoleum to store the ashes of dead people. Okay then, as you can see from these pictures, it certainly had the right vibe for that. The rusting hallways and corroded rooms are being slowly reclaimed by nature. Moss and grass is now creeping over the old machines and corrugated walls. The owner said it isn't even suitable for residential living, and yeah, I think most people would agree. Moving on to number 7 now, we have Hello Satan. In 2014, 2 men in Germany were out exploring some woods when they found 2 strange pipes just sticking out of the ground. As they got closer, they found the entrance to a bunker surrounded by trees. They prized the wooden lid off using a crowbar and found an iron door. They went through that and followed a sort of dark hospital-looking corridor for what felt like forever. Other pathways appeared, but they decided to keep going straight so they didn't get lost on their way back. There were holes in the wall that appeared to be made by a hammer. Eventually, they started to find strange graffiti on the walls and realized they weren't the first people to discover this bunker. Now at first, it seemed like the kind of graffiti that just some kids would do for fun, but then the writing seemed to get more sinister when they found some graffiti that just said "help." Then they found a huge yellow door that seemed to have been ripped off its hinges. They didn't think it was possible for a person to do this. It looked about as heavy as a bank vault door. After that point, the room seemed to look more and more decayed. Eventually they found some graffiti that, in German, read, "Hello Satan, I love you." Now that is when they knew they had seen enough. They quickly retraced their steps and left the underground bunker. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Urban Geeks. These are the guys who uploaded a video in May 2018 showing a creepy bunker they found in England. After exploring the surface level for a while, they eventually do go underground.
A nice bunker for everyone. Look at this. Oh my god. Oh yeah, like the little blast shields and stuff. Do you want to get the 2 torches out?
It gets darker and darker, the graffiti becomes more difficult to read, the walls look like they're crumbling around them, and then they see this.
Oh my god, how freaky is that? No, look at this. Maggot #2. They've actually tagged the machinery as maggots. Like, I don't know if this is gonna...
That's right, some graffiti telling them that they are being watched. Now your natural reaction if you saw this may be to just dismiss it as a joke, but part of you would still be wondering if someone really did live in that complex, watching every person that passed through, and perhaps never made it out. Eventually, the temperature actually started to plummet in there, and they decided to get out of there. Next up, number 4 now, we have Mezzarino. That's the name of this Australian YouTuber who went out to explore a bunker in 2017. Now he actually went there not knowing anything about the place. He tried to do some research online and almost nothing came up. Now that would put some people off, but he decided to go for it anyway.
What is this joint?
After exploring the woods on the surface, they eventually find a small metal door. This led to a spiral staircase. The rooms at the bottom were covered in these creepy old white tiles. Eventually, they find one of the first signs of humans being down there, a Ouija board that had been written on paper. Clearly, someone had used this bunker to try and contact the spirit world. After visiting the bunker, the group had no more answers to their questions of who built this place, what was it used for, and why exactly was it abandoned.
Someone's been doing a Ouija board on paper. And this is their circle of demonic.
And finally, number 1 now, we have the secret forest door. This video was uploaded by a World War II History Hunter channel in 2016 who explores old World War II sites. This one was an old German bunker. Now he's visited the site before this video, but this time he brought the equipment.
You can see that there are definitely tracks of human activity. This is built, and we can go a bit further in before we can put on the...
The bunker looks to be in bad condition. Decades of water pouring in has corroded the iron and turned the wooden beams to pulp. He then finds a long hallway where the walls have metal bars coming right out of them. He guesses that this is because there used to be doors there before. Where they are now, he doesn't know. As he heads deeper into the bunker, the lack of light makes it almost impossible to film, and we have to rely solely on his verbal descriptions. He enters a huge room with stalactites coming down from the ceiling. He sees another door which leads to an area with more stairs.
How many stairs? 20, 30? There's a lot of them. Cool. This is the lookout position from the outside here. This is on the other side of where the hatch was.
These stairs actually seem to be built into the very living rock. Whatever the Germans were planning for this bunker during World War II, they wanted it to withstand a lot of firepower.